Hello, and welcome to today's review of Mary, Queen of Scots. First, before we get into this film, I was surprised at exactly how many people go to a movie on Christmas Day. Now, I realize not everyone celebrates Christmas and that there are a lot of families' traditions where they go to films on Christmas Day. I was just surprised at how many people actually do. It was busier than most Saturday nights. Now, let's talk about this film. Mary, Queen of Scots is based on a book titled Queen of Scots, The Life of Mary Stuart, written by John Guy. And that chronicles the period of time of Mary's life from when she returned to Scotland from France up until her death. And the film covers much of the same time period. Now, I will admit that I don't know much of the time period other than she was the Queen of Scotland with a better claim to the English throne than the current monarch of Elizabeth I. Mary is played by Saoirse Ronan. Queen Elizabeth is played by Margot Robbie. Both women put in outstanding performances, so much so that at the time of this watching and recording, Margot Robbie has been nominated for a SAG award for Best Supporting Actress. I thought the costuming was also beautiful and it looked very time reminiscent. And the fun thing about this time period is I've always got this thing for the neck ruffles that are on a lot of people's outfits. And I thought that the scenery and the costuming is amazingly beautiful. From what I have read from other reviews, it seems that there are a lot of historical inaccuracies though throughout the story, though I couldn't tell you exactly where they are. There were amazing performances within the film. I had high hopes going in, and I have to say that I was let down. It's not that this is a bad film or this isn't a well-performed film. I just expected a little bit more from it based on the hype that was in my mind. With the knowledge that I had going into the film of the SAG award for Robbie, I was expecting a little bit more out of the cast overall. And I found myself being almost distracted by some of the actors that were in there that I didn't know. For instance, Guy Pearce is in this film, and when he showed up, I was kind of like, I know him, don't quite know where I know him from, but I know that guy from somewhere. Same thing with David Tennant. But I didn't recognize him from his facial features because he's hidden behind this long black beard and hair. But his voice was undeniable for me. I just kept looking at him going, I know that voice somewhere. Where do I know that voice? Where do I know that voice from? And then eventually, when his name came up in the credits, I went, oh, that's what I thought. And so I found myself looking through that a lot. And with the expectations that I had from this film, I just found myself let down. It's full of political intrigue and violence. So much so that it makes you go, wow. In looking up the times for this film, I saw that it was rated R. So I expected a lot of blood, a lot of swearing, maybe even a little sexual contact. And when we got to the cinema and looking at the times, it had it rated an R for not rated. And that made me go, okay, so which one should I believe? We get in there and we start watching it, and there's no nudity. There is no real graphic sexual contact, but there is some contact. There is homosexual contact, there is oral contact, there is even so much so as a scene of forced marital consummation. And today we would consider this rape, and then they would have seen that as a sworn duty for what they promised to do, but usually not in the way that it is shown here. There is also graphic violence, not so much in a war setting, but as in a straight up murder setting. It's definitely not a film for children. I would not take my daughter to it, and I wouldn't want her to see it until she's older. As for everyone else, this is a film that I would say, yeah, go ahead and see it if you were looking forward to it. Just kind of temper your expectations of what you're going to get based on knowing about the performances. If you're concerned about the price of theater going, I wouldn't see this movie in theaters. I would just wait for a home release. I don't think this is one that is needed a big screen for, not that theater experience. Would the costuming and makeup look amazing in theaters? Yes, but so will the 4K release of this film. With that said, if you have seen Mary, Queen of Scots, or if you plan on seeing it, or even have any thoughts on the history of Mary, Queen of Scots, and Queen Elizabeth I, go ahead and leave a comment below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a great night.